The sun has left and forgotten me. It's dark, I cannot see.
Your stories don't define you, but how you tell them will. Hi, I'm Sarah Elkins, your host and chief storymaker at Elkins Consulting. If you've been listening to my shows for a while, you've probably noticed a big change in the format in recent weeks. Summer is hard on podcasters. We lose a lot of our listeners for the longer shows, and it can be difficult to be motivated to keep putting out quality content when we know people aren't as likely to listen. So this summer, I've been experimenting. I've been focused on brief, less than 20-minute episodes that keep a person's attention while still offering insights and entertainment. What you've been hearing and will continue to hear in each episode is a brief story of a pivotal moment in my life, and then a thread pulled to generate insights about it. I have two goals for you. One is to uncover your related story so you can add it to a collection and practice and have it ready when the opportunity presents itself. As you've probably heard me say, sometimes exactly the right story is the one that will unlock your related moment. The second goal is that I am demonstrating storytelling in a practical, approachable way so that you can hear how I compose my words, my phrases, and how I use my tone of voice to add dynamics and meaning to the words. In today's episode, you'll hear about a pivotal moment that changed me, a story filled with grief and joy. Jewish tradition emphasizes that humans are uniquely capable of holding space for seemingly contradictory emotions at the same time. Grief and joy, sorrow and gratitude. And that this is part of our human experience. The reason grief can feel so heavy and liberating at the same time. When my father was dying in early 2014, I sat down at our dinner table with my husband and our two young teenage sons and started a conversation around what we want to happen when we die. Our older son was quiet, hesitant. He said, "Mom, this feels like a morbid conversation." And I explained that my dad had been talking about his last wishes, and it made me think about my own, and I wanted to be clear. And I wanted to know what they wanted for their own experience. I said, it's not just about death. It's about how we want to live and what we hope we're leaving behind. After hearing my dad's wishes, I realized mine are really different from his. I honestly don't care if or how you choose to celebrate or honor my life. I care more that you and your brother have a chance to grieve on your own terms. Our dinner conversation started in all seriousness and eventually devolved into hilarious puns and silliness. It was exactly how I hoped it would be, allowing for important conversation without leaving us feeling overwhelmed and sad. It's not surprising that our lives take on new or different urgency when we experience the death of a loved one. If we're paying attention, we see firsthand and suddenly know how uncertain, unpredictable, and precious life is. And a lot of us, at least for the short term, make conscious decisions to live more fully in the moment, to make sure we're telling the people we love how much they mean to us. Given that my family experienced a lot of grief over the course of around 2 years, first my father-in-law, then 2 close friends who had fatal accidents but were otherwise healthy, and then my father, it's not surprising that those 2 years had me deeply rethinking my priorities. Which is why this pivotal moment, a few years later, this one that I'm about to describe, came as a surprise to me. I was sitting in a church, attending a memorial service for the mother of a dear family friend. I don't have a memory of reading her obituary, though I'm sure I did. What was deeply memorable was what the majority of people said as they took turns standing and speaking about their mother, their grandmother, their aunt, their colleague, their friend. almost every one of them mentioned receiving birthday cards and letters every year. They spoke about what it meant to them to see the envelope with her handwriting on it, that they waited until the day of their birthday to open it, no matter how many days ahead it arrived, that they treasured seeing the perfect card she would select, the beautiful, sometimes funny, and always thoughtful words she would write, the way they felt when they held the paper in their hands, seen, loved, valued. There were tears and lots of laughter. My friend's mother was a character, funny, charming, irreverent, and loved the chicken dance so much that she put her entire family in chicken costumes to do that dance on special occasions. I remember sitting next to my husband and listening intently, beyond the words being used to describe her, to the way they held their hands as they spoke about her, the expressions on their faces, the way their eyes softened when they looked at others in the overfilled room, the subtle, loving affection among her loved ones. Over the next few weeks, I kept coming back to moments I witnessed that evening and the most common stories I heard shared. And even now, years later, I reflect on that service and how it moved me, how it changed me to be even more present and also more conscious of a legacy I want to leave behind. I consider the balance between doing what I want, making choices that feel right to me right now, and making choices that directly and indirectly impact and influence the people around me. I'm not a consistent card sender or letter writer. Truly, pretty much the only physical thing I do consistently is breathe, and even that sometimes falters. But I am consistent in my love and deep care. People know they can count on me for that. And beyond that, I'm honestly not sure what people remember when I'm not around. But my hope, as I continue to contribute in my unique ways to my family, friends, and community, is that my obituary isn't just a list of jobs, career achievements, and the places I lived. I hope my obituary is filled with the stories of what I contributed to the lives of the people I love. Like the story I told about my father when he passed. He came to visit me in Washington, D.C. when I was around 6 months pregnant, and he drove me to work one day so he could borrow our car afterward. For the first time in all the years I had been driving there, I got a flat tire, stepped out of the car, opened the trunk, and started to pull out the spare and the jack. He touched me on the arm, looked at me incredulously, and said, "Sarah, go step away from the car onto the shoulder. I'll do this." And I remember his expression. He was beyond happy. He felt joy in being able to rescue me, his little girl, even though he knew I could handle it myself. The stories we tell about people say everything about who we are and what matters to us. And that simple story demonstrates everything you need to know about our relationship. Listeners, now it's your turn. What stories popped into your head as I shared my experiences? What stories do you think you would want to share with others about the people that you love? And what do those stories say about the person, about you, and about your relationship with them? Remember that you have a choice in your legacy. Even though you can't control what people think, you can influence it through being intentional and consistent about making, sharing, and listening to the stories all around you. Thank you for listening to Your Stories Don't Define You, How You Tell Them Will. If you're curious to learn about working with me as my public speaking client, in my StrengthsFinder work, or hiring me to come and speak at your event, please visit my website, elkinsconsulting.com, and schedule time to chat. You can sign up there for periodic updates about my work, and please don't hesitate to connect with me on Instagram at Sarah Lynn Elkins, LinkedIn, and Facebook. You'll see lots of content about Gallup's StrengthsFinder, storytelling, and public speaking.
You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile.